I'm Charlie.
And I'm April.
We're sports fans,
Travelers,
music lovers,
movie buffs,
foodies,
and gamblers.
Did we mention sports fans? Join us as we talk about all that, including the good, bad, and ugly things we've had to face in our life.
Welcome to episode 8 of In Our Life podcast. This is a special episode for us. 8 is a very important number.
It is. Today on episode 8, we're going to have a very special guest. We're going to have a discussion on the college football playoff, and we're going to have our list. And this list is going to be favorite Christmas movies.
I can't wait. Today, our special guest was born and raised in Milledgeville, Georgia, a proud graduate of Georgia Southern University, and co-hosted a radio show with yours truly, Ben and Bags in the Morning, on WVGS at Georgia Southern University. A proud father of Dottie and Colin, and husband to Anna. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Smart. Hey, bud.
Hey, guys.
What's up?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hey, man, no worries, no
We're
worries.
so excited to have you on the show with us today, Ben.
Let me start by saying I think this is your best episode yet.
Thank you so much.
Eight is so great.
No bias at all.
No bias.
Love
That's
it.
amazing. That's amazing.
It's the best episode.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, we got a few questions for you. We'll have a little Q&A time with you, if that's cool with you.
I love it. I am so nervous right now. I'm not lying.
Well, don't
You
be-
shouldn't be. It's us.
Don't be
It's
nervous.
it's the first podcast I've ever been on.
It's
Oh,
only
okay.
the world.
Yeah,
Only the
exactly.
world.
Please don't exit
Very
stage
nervous.
left. Please don't exit stage left. Just remember, decades and decades ago, we used to all hang out together. So it's all good. It's
I know.
all good. Okay, so since we're talking about decades and decades ago, we did a radio show together, WVGS at Georgia Southern. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that experience?
That experience, it was a fantastic 3-year period. It was 3 years, right? We did 3 years together,
Mhm.
right?
I think so.
Yeah, we did 3 years. And what was great was that I think the first 2 years we opened the entire day, right? So I think we had to get there at 5:45. So we were the first show on, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was just one day a week. And I've always had a problem with that because we asked them if we could have 5 days, right? And they were like, no, we don't do that here. And sure enough, like the next semester, the next year, they put another show on after us that ran 5 consecutive days, right? So I was very upset that I was like, we had that idea first. And it was the first time in WVGS history that they put another show on for 5 straight days. So
I did not have a 5-day. I did not have a 5-day show.
no,
And it was
nobody
not
did.
a morning show per se. It was a very late night / very early morning show.
Oh, yeah.
I was on from Wednesday from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Oh my gosh. What an awesome slot.
Dude, yeah, it was interesting. Because I would always come in, and the guy ahead of me he had like a jazz show. So I would come in and he would put on one of his longest tracks, and we'd just go hang out just because, they had that little porch. You could go just outside the studio.
Oh yeah.
And we'd hang out there and chill for a minute, and then he'd come in, throw it to me, and I would put on. I had the same song every time. My walk-up music was Coming Down the Mountain, Butthole Surfers. I don't mind the sun sometimes.
Right. You remember ours, April, right? What our opening song was every morning, right? You remember what it was?
I remember the closing song. I don't remember the beginning song.
Our opening song was "Papa Was a Rolling Stone."
That's right.
Because it was 6 minutes long, so we'd throw it on, right? So that way we could get our
You're so right.
Stuff together,
Yeah,
and not have to worry about. And we learned that real quick. I remember our very first show. I think I sort of remember our very first show. And we were just playing song after song after song because we didn't plan anything. So
weren't ready yet.
No, not
song
at all.
after song after song. And I think one of our friends, somebody called up and were like, dude, you got to stop playing music. You got to talk at some point. I was like, okay, fine.
Oh,
We'll talk.
And so we
Yeah.
learned real quick that we need to play long songs are your friend.
So you can wake up, drink a coffee, get
Right.
life about you. Because in Statesboro, we had that morning show on Friday, and
Mm-hmm.
Thursdays were the nights to go out in
Mm-hmm.
Statesboro. So most of the time, everybody's going on like no sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
and I know with your show, Charlie, you just partied through and left
Yeah.
the party and went to the radio station.
Because if they were listening, they had just come from the bar.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it was Wednesday morning. It would have been nice to have Thursday morning, because then you would have a bunch of people leaving from karaoke night that would have been listening.
Actually, that's kind of a brilliant move. Why didn't we think of that? Like, of course, you've got a built-in audience at 1:00 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's up at
it was
5?
great.
Who's up at 6 listening?
But we had, but the cool thing was, I have a few fraternity brothers that would come in upon occasion and bring some refreshments.
Oh, okay.
And the rule, the long-standing rule was what? No top 40, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No
Yeah.
top 40, and
Well, no current top 40.
right. If it was top 40, it had to be at least 10 years old.
Correct. Yes.
So I
Correct.
was bored one night, and I said, I started a chain reaction. I would try to use logical connectors, and I would go with songs that were current but not top 40, work my way all the way back into like 1970s and 1960s popular music, and then work my way all the way back into the current alternative and hard rock.
Interesting.
Good
I had
Lord.
to
What a
do
planner.
something. I had to do
We did
something
that
to make
too.
myself laugh.
Yeah. I see it. I see it. There was one of the things, y'all, was we had to do the station IDs. I think it was like top of the hour, bottom of the hour. Also, we had to play public service announcements.
Oh,
It got to
man.
the point where where we were just like, oh, so it just has to be a PSA. So we had this little library of like 15s and 30s. Might have been a couple of 90s. And so we just got to the point where, like, okay, so there are some for the military, and we're playing them in like the Spanish version. And then,
Right.
like, they'll have like the Coast Guard urban version, and it was like hip hop, like, so we're just like, okay, well, we'll play it, but we're gonna play whatever we want.
Right.
I would listen to some of those
Spice it up.
PSAs. I'd listen to some of those PSAs like when I'd have something else playing, and I'd be over there previewing like, oh, that's hilarious, because we all, we had fellow students that would create some of those, and some of them were pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It was I don't know. It was pretty. I think it was pretty awesome. I think it was.
I enjoyed it.
I loved it. I got to say, I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
And see, I
And
didn't.
I mean, it was great. It was great.
I didn't have
was
a
great with you.
co-host,
I mean, it
so
was-
now I'm making up for it.
Yeah.
It's like hanging out for 2 hours with one of my best friends. I mean, that was great. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Radio was just great. Radio was great. Radio is great.
Yeah. Yeah. This actual podcast is gonna be video and it's gonna be audio.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about that. I don't know about that for me. That's why I liked radio. I was like, oh, it felt like I knew we were talking to some people, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't know, and that was kind of, I've never had a problem speaking in front of a large crowd, anything like that. But I don't know, something about a microphone in front of your face, but still not knowing who's listening and not really caring. I like that barrier. I like that.
the studio.
I like that studio.
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
there's a
Right.
wall in front of
I
you. You're
liked
just
it.
talking at a microphone, and that's
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I gotcha. Now,
This is a little bit more intense, right? This is
well, I mean, you're looking at
I
your
don't know if
friends.
you just-
It's
no,
all
but-
good.
it. Talking to
you're
us.
looking over here.
Oh, Ben, do you remember? And Charlie, I don't know if you've ever heard this story or not. We made an invention that we never got patented on the radio show.
It's too bad. It's
You
too
wanna
bad.
tell
They'll-
Charlie-
You've told me this, and I don't remember
Ben,
what it was.
do you want to
It's-
tell the audience what we did?
It's too bad the milk-filled donut never made it. Again, another idea we came up with that is now
Yeah.
you can go to I think it's EPCOT, right? EPCOT
Yeah.
Center in Florida, and a booth in France. You go and you get a donut, and they cut it in half, and they scoop the ice cream, and they close it and then they grill it and then you hand it to them. I'm like, that ain't
not
new.
even
That
happy,
ain't new.
man. We did that.
I'm just saying, right?
Man, that's
And everybody
crazy.
knows it too. Everybody
knows it.
good or bad. Every once in a while I'll have a friend that tries to make fun of me. Like, you guys sounded stupid with that idea. I'm like, you're still talking about it, brother.
You're still talking about the
25 years
Musel
later.
donut. You're
Rent
still
free,
talking about
sucker. Rent free.
How right? It lives rent free in your brains.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that saying.
Oh, exactly. One of the other things about having that early morning show, one of the things that we did was we would do like the first student spotting on campus because
Right.
like, you could see, part of the little area there when people were walking to campus. So we would do that. And then like if classes started at 8:00, you should pretty much be parked already by 5 till. So like 5 till 8, there were like a couple big parking lots, and we would play the Knight Rider theme music and say, if you are not parked by the time this song's over, you might as well just go back home.
Just go to what was that place called? The Wade Extension. Just go park at the Wade Extension. That's the only parking available right now.
Or if it's finals, just park in a faculty spot, keep it pushing.
And
But you didn't hear that from me.
Parking was awful.
And I think it was James Christensen would give us was it James? I think it was James. I'm going to say it was James. I think he gave us he would do the traffic or the weather for us because he was always in line at one of the restaurants in the student center. And so it's like, it was a great little bit, right?
We do sound effects and stuff too.
Right.
So
it was perfect.
Pretty good.
I think that was James. I want to say it was James.
Yeah.
We're going to say it's him.
God, you made me think about parking. I remember riding. I would have my truck and I would take my bike, throw my bike in the back of the truck, and I would park out probably as far out in the grass lot as I could find a spot, park there, and then I would ride my bike all over.
That's smart.
Yeah, but
that's smart, very smart. But riding a bike, that's a bit much.
It's dangerous.
It's a bit much for
me.
me.
40s now. I'm not.
You look better because you rode your bike. I look like a
shoot.
fat tub of.
I've seen images of me on a motorcycle, and that's a lot bigger than a bicycle.
I had a bike for about. I had a bike for about 8 weeks my freshman year, and then I got rid of. I sold it to the guy that I lived next door in the dorm. I was like, this is a hassle. Riding this thing is a hassle.
It was a lot more comfortable than the skateboard I used to ride around campus too.
There you go.
So,
I had a roommate that he and I would go find stuff to jump our skateboards off of.
Oh wow.
Speaking of college, our previous episode was about college.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
I want to know what did you major in? And how has that helped you as an adult?
I majored in broadcasting. So my degree was a Bachelor of Arts, so a BA in broadcasting. And that's what I'm still doing today. So I think it kind of worked out, right? So I'm a freelance videographer, freelance sound technician, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of forgot, what was the second part of the question? How
has college helped you as an adult? But your major. So if you're currently working in it, I'd say it's pretty self-explanatory.
It worked out. It worked out, and I think. I loved every minute of all my classes doing it. I think the professors were great. I think the facilities were a little. Not of the day, right?
Are you talking about the box?
Needed to be.
What's that?
You talking about the box? Wasn't that what it was called? The black box?
Well, the black box was. The black box.
Theater. That was the
theater.
But the communications where they had the production set up. I can't remember where.
Right,
that was the control room and all that.
It was in that building that was next to the library. So it was. If you're looking at the library, there's a building to the left. It's like the literature building, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, like the first education building.
Yeah. In the basement, that's where their broadcast studio was.
I mean, like Chiron machine, old school stuff.
stuff that and there were like, sound booths in there with like reel to reel and record players and big old school soundboards in each room. I thought it was amazing, but at the same time I was like, this I appreciated it now, because I think the lesson learned in college was that, if you kind of know this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of translate across the board anyway, right? It certainly
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
But I think it was, also makes you kind of work harder when you get in the workforce. You see the new stuff and you're like, "Ooh, I don't know this.
Yeah.
I better look it up or fake it." I faked it a lot. I honestly,
I
I faked it a
feel you.
lot. It's
I
all good.
feel you.
But
Yeah.
I also the teachers. This is what I'll say about the teachers. And Kent Murray, he was a doll. I loved him. Loved him. He was a ball buster. You can
Yeah.
edit that out if you want, but he was a ball buster. He made it clear that we kind of knew nothing, right? Like he wanted to make sure we were bumped down a notch, but not in that mean, like, I'm keeping you down because I'm promoting myself way. It was just, I took that, and then I took that to heart, because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be that jerk when I get into the workforce and be like, I know everything, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so I really kind of took that out to light. And then he taught us the basics as well. So, coiling cables, how to light something, yada, yada, yada. And so when I was showing up at the studio, when I finally started working there and I knew how to do that stuff, they were like, all right. And that kind of parlayed. Like, I interned at a production company right out of college, and I worked at that production company afterwards for 10 years.
Oh,
So
that's dope.
they prepared
easy.
me.
Well,
They prepared. Southern prepared me, man. And Reed Smith, I don't know if he's still there or not, but I kept in touch with him for a little while. I tried my best to try to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
so the professors were great. And I have a friend whose kid is a, film and television major there now, which is a for real,
That's awesome. That's
another
awesome.
major, right? And they've got a TV studio. They've got,
what?
ESPN is, they have that, and the field house, they've got, it's fibered up, and you
Oh,
just
yeah.
run cables. You don't have to have a satellite truck anymore,
Just lock it in
because
and go.
it's ready to rock and roll. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so. I mean, the production in and of itself is way different than it was 10 years
of
ago, 25.
course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the lessons are still there, right?
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it's crazy because when I left Southern, I went straight into video production on local news,
mhm,
and
mhm.
they're rolling analog tapes,
Right.
and I was there for the switch from tapes to,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
using, so they
Right.
were just like, oh,
Yeah.
taking this tape out, putting this in. Oh, well, we're
Yeah.
going to start this fire here, do a little pre-roll because it's in
Mhm.
the world wrap. And
Yeah.
so you're playing just bits of the tapes, and you got to rewind and put them back in the order with the rundown. Like, it was a madhouse.
It
I
it
loved
was
it.
it was great, right? It was a skill, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that that's not a thing anymore. It's kind of moved into the realm of like the tape op, which was a position,
Oh,
right? There was
yeah.
a job at the studio I worked for, a tape op, and the guys would sit in a dark room with 20 machines, and the editor would call them and say, "Okay, load
Yeah.
tape 2 in," because then they would edit from that, and they would do all that kind of stuff. And now I think that's kind of morphed into, you shoot on cards or you shoot digital stuff, and so now you hand that card off to a guy, and he goes and he downloads it to 18 different servers and hard drives, and you have instant play. So you
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? That
Yeah. It's crazy.
the job is sort of the same still, right?
Yeah.
The idea is there.
And with,
At least I think.
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but with the jobs, that was one of the main reasons I got out of video production on news level, because to run a newscast, you needed 5 or 6 people. You had an audio tech, and then you had, 3 people running cameras, a stage person, and then you had your Chiron or graphics operator, and then your director and all this
Hmm.
stuff. But after they started going to like robotic cameras,
Mm.
different things like that. But my question for you is, doing all this, can you break down for us, like just give us a rundown of your career path, like where you started
Hmm.
out of school all the way to where you are now?
So, and this is a true story. It's going to sound schlocky. Deal with it.
I'm going to need a definition.
I
Deal
know.
with it.
Look
An old
up
man is
schlocky.
speaking.
Schlocky. How do we spell it?
Schlocky. I think it's SCH.
Okay.
Schlocky. So, when I was in middle school, my mom introduced me to this guy in my hometown of Milledgeville, Georgia. And he worked at the local radio station, WMVG, AM 1450. And Scott McLeod, if you're listening, you're tops. He's the tops. And so I met him, and I was like, I want to be like you, man. You're on the radio. He was a play-by-play guy for the, Georgia College baseball team, basketball team. He's kind of a voice in Milledgeville, right? If you listen to the radio station, you heard Scott, you knew who he was. I'm like, man, that dude he's the best, and I want to do that. And so I talked to him, and I was like, hey, man, I want to do this. And I was in 8th grade, right? I'm 7th or 8th grade. Let's say 8th. And he was like, all right, well, when you turn 16, call me, and let's talk again. And so I kept it. I kept that idea in the back of my hand and back of my head. And sure enough, when I turned 16 and I was starting to look for, minimum wage job, I called him and I was like, hey man, you told me to call you when I was 16. I've just turned 16. He was like, well, you're in luck. We're looking for a guy to take over on Sunday mornings on our station, on the AM station 1450. And so I was like, I'm your man. And so they trained me up. I started working in local radio when I was 16 years old. My shift was from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. Yeah, it was all, playing spiritual music, church music on records. And I had to read funeral announcements. I had to play local church services, and it was great. And then at noon, from 11 to noon, 2 of the big churches had their simulcast. So it would be, and then at noon, we'd switch to, top 40 music or whatever, right? Of the top 40 music. It was like, God bless and keep you. ABC News at noon. And then at 5 after, I could play whatever music I wanted for the next 55 minutes, including with, because then at 1 o'clock, especially during the fall, Falcons would be on at 1 o'clock, right? So I'd play music up to the Falcons. The Falcons game would take over. The new guy would come in, and I'd leave. My mom took me to work. My mom or dad would take me to work on Sunday mornings. It was great. And then the Braves would come on at 1 o'clock in the spring and summer. So I made, what was minimum wage back then? $4.50. So every
$4.50, $4.25.
Yeah. So every 2 weeks I'd go and get my check, and it was $89, and it was just the best money I'd ever made, ever. And so that's where I say that long story to say this. It propelled me into what I knew I wanted to do for the rest of my life, right? I just knew that I wanted to do this business. And so I went to Georgia Southern, and the only reason I went to Georgia Southern to begin with was they had a marching band, and I didn't get into UGA. I, was accepted to a couple of other schools that I couldn't afford to go to because they were out of state, yada, yada. And I didn't make the decision to go to Georgia Southern until the second week of June in 96. So I graduated maybe a month ago. And that's how, good or bad, that's how awesome Georgia Southern was at the time. They would take you, right? You could drive by.
Yeah, come on to the borough.
We'll take you. So I was like, but then I researched it. They had a marching band. I'm like, I kind of still want to do marching band, right? I kind of want to do it. Oh, they've got a broadcasting department. Cool. Okay. I'll major in broadcasting. I'll march. And it worked out. Right?
Sounds like you had that laid out.
I did. I'm sorry to sound sappy, but I had it. That's what I wanted to do. Now, I'll say this much, because when I get to college, you think you're the hot stuff, because I'd been on local radio for 3 years at that point. I'm like, I know what I'm doing here, okay? I'm good.
I got this.
Okay? I'm good.
Hold my beer.
I'm real good. And I've read plenty of funeral announcements. Don't you know who I am? And that's why
I'm the obituary guy.
Right. I'm the guy who reads the obituaries. Okay. And the thing that I love most about it too, because I really wanted to stay in radio. I really, really wanted to stay in radio. And that's why when April and I became friends, I was like, I think we'd be great at this. I think we'd be great at this. And so it was awesome hosting the show in college. And then so I took, audio classes and radio classes in school. And, to get your broadcasting degree, you'd still have to do the video production classes, right? You still have to do video 1, video 2, lighting, theater, like stuff like that. And so when it came time to do internships, I called radio stations in Atlanta because I thought, egotistically, I was like, April and I are pretty good. I don't need to check in Savannah or Brunswick or Statesboro. We're too good for that. I'm going to call Star 94 in Atlanta.
Oh.
And I'm going to get an internship there.
Yeah.
So I called. This is how naive I was. I think I called them on Friday night at like 7 o'clock. Like, who calls the radio station at 7 o'clock unless you're looking to hear the Smashing Pumpkins or something? So I call and a dude answered, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm looking for an internship." He's like, "Yeah, we don't do them during the spring." I'm like, "Okay." And so, which was weird because that guy answered on Friday and told me they didn't do internships. So either he was lying or they were telling the truth. Either way,
who knows?
I was like, you know what? And so at the time, if you didn't have an internship at Southern, you had to take classes. And I'm like, I'm not taking any more mass communication classes, right? Because they would be theory classes, and I'm not going to sit in school and do that. So Kent Murray,
again, don't you know who I am?
Don't you? Again, I was like, Kent, don't you know who I am?
Classes.
I have a early morning #1 radio show here, and my voice is beautiful. And so I talked to him. He was like, "Well, you can't get a internship in radio, and you don't want to go to Savannah." And he was like, "Well, your video production stuff is good. You get it. You know how to light. You know how to shoot, ish. You know how to sort of shoot." I'm like, "Thanks."
It sounds
and he
like
said,
it.
"Right." And so he was like, "I can get you an internship at this production company called Artisan Picture Works, and it's in Atlanta." I'm like,
Artisan.
Sold. Not the Artisan Entertainment.
Okay.
Not the Artisan.
I was going to say
they
Artisan.
It's
they
not
hooked you
the
up.
movie studio. That would have been great. I kind of, to get some free drinks, I kind of told people that it was the Artisan of the movie.
Well, there you go.
Like, yeah, here's my business card.
Don't look too close. And so I got I did the internship at Artisan. I met a dear friend of mine, Dan Valdez. The first I went up and interviewed for it. I had a kick-ass ponytail and a shirt and tie and pants that didn't match, but it didn't matter because it was a shirt and tie, and you dress for the job you want.
Yeah.
And I show up, and the first person I see is a buddy of mine, Jason Hester, who I still see all the time, who was also a video production major. He had a radio show after ours. We would have ours, and then Jason he was either on the couple hours after us, but I knew him, and he had interned there, and they hired him on full time. So I saw him, I was like, "Oh man, what's going on?" So I already had a built-in friend there, which was great. And then Dan, was like, "Hey, it's yours if you want it. It's, welcome aboard. Don't ever dress like that again." And I was like, "Not a problem." So,
yes, sir.
Not a problem. He's like, "We don't really wear suits here." I'm like, "Great. Love it. Do I need to cut my hair? It's beautiful." He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it. You look great." I'm like, "Oh, thank God." So I interned, and about May of the internship, someone in the camera department, another dear friend of mine, Tammy, she didn't want to do the job anymore, so she quit. And so then they say, "Hey, she just quit. Do you want the job?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah." So
do this for money? Of course.
Hell yeah. And my starting salary was $9 an hour.
Ooh. Yeah, making money. You're in the biz.
It was the richest I ever was. Honestly, the richest I ever was, and probably will ever be, because I had no
bills, no real bills.
I had no car payment. The only thing I was paying was rent, and even then it wasn't very much rent because I was living in I was living with a couple of friends from Milledgeville who were living in Atlanta at the time, and I was living in their hallway because I didn't want to sleep on their couch because they would play Mario, but John had an extra mattress, so I was like, it was like a twin mattress, and it fit perfectly in the hall. So I'm like, I'm just going to sleep in the hall. Is that cool? And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I did that.
You are the kid in the hall.
Yeah. So
Whoa, that's cool.
I did that during the internship, and then I moved in with a gentleman that April, Zach Peel.
Yeah.
And I moved in with Zach Peel, and I moved in with Tammy, who was the girl who quit the job, who quit the job.
Good looking out, Tammy.
I know. I was like, she was like, we were just dear friends, and I was like, she didn't want to do the job anymore, so I was like, well, we should probably at least live together, right? And so we lived together for a few years. But anyway, that's beside the point. So I worked at Artisan for 10 years, right? I got the 10-year chip, and they went under, and then kind of struck out on my own. All right. I was kind of, I don't want to say forced into it, but you learn a lot during the 10 years and stuff like that. But anyway, so I started freelancing in 2010. And so I've been freelancing ever since, because I met a handful of people while I worked full time, kind of kept me employed for the first 3 or 4 years. Maybe like my freelance career really didn't get cooking until maybe 2014. So it was like lean for like 2 or 3 years. But you know what? At that point, I had met my sugar mama, so we were living together in little 5 Points, and it was just us, and it was cheap to still live there, and I could get by with only working a certain amount of times a month. But you know what? After I started doing it, I was like, you know what? This suits me, because when I worked full time, I had a micromanager boss. Loved the guy. He was a micromanager. He would, if I was taking sick leave or whatever, he would call me and be like, "We could really use you today." I'm like, "No, you don't. I know what's going on there. Richard's sitting on his phone, or Richard's talking to his dog. I'll probably be on the internet. And so you don't need me today. It's fine." So when I started freelancing, I'm like, I get to set my own schedule. I could, I take any kind of work. I never say no to any work, and I never have, and I never will. I didn't have to get up at 6:30 every morning, stay up as late as I wanted. Finally.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy.
Be your
as
own
an
boss.
adult.
Yeah.
Be your own boss. It was great. It suited me. I could sleep in. I could sleep forever long. Now, I should have probably been hustling more. I'd probably be better off, financially, if I was better prepared with money. That's a different story.
That's
Point being
the
is
case
that
for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
and we could cut out a good portion of that, but I just wanted to get that out there, because I love the path that I took. The only regret I kind of have about it is I may have stayed at the full-time job a little too long. But you always want to try to correct the ship, or
Yeah.
but you're also comfortable and you're familiar with it, right? You're just familiar with it. You're like, there's nothing out there for me, and this is as good as it gets. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong. I just liked my path. I really did. I also hosted trivia during that time for like 10 years. And so I was getting that fill of being on the radio, right? I had a microphone. I'd ask questions. I'd play whatever music I wanted. I had, I got to know people.
Yeah.
And they were great. And it was in a bar. I met my wife. It was a lifestyle, right? I did it 4 nights a week. And
you were the trivia guy. Had a bar tab?
Sometimes I would. Sometimes I would. I drank a lot on those nights. And those nights were perfect, right? It was so great, because you work on a job that, and the biggest thing is, when you freelance and you do a job, it's done, right? That day is done. I don't have to worry about anything else. Like when I worked full time, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. It was done. And then I'd go do trivia, and then I'd go home, and Ann and I would like eat dinner and watch our TV. It was a lifestyle, right? It was fantastic. But anywho, that all to say, I don't know. I honestly love what I do.
And speaking of your job, what is your favorite? What was your favorite shoot of all time?
Favorite shoot of all time. This is good. So there's 2 facilities in the United States. I'm not sure if it's like that now, because it's been many years, but back then, there's 2 facilities in the United States. There's one in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and there's one just outside of Atlanta, kind of off of Thornton Road, if you guys know where that is, kind of going towards Six Flags. And it's this giant.
Right offhand.
So if you take 20 west,
it's
out there. towards
Okay.
Six Flags. And it's a huge facility where all of your unclaimed mail goes.
Really?
So anything you can think of that is sent through the mail, if it's not claimed, like this is after they've tried to send it back or try to find you, it goes to one of these two facilities. And you walk into this facility and it's everything you could think. It's everything. It looks like a gigantic flea market antique store. So you walk in every 2 Wednesdays a month, they have auctions where people come in and bid on these huge lots of items that are lost in the mail. So like they'll wheel out a big old tub of DVDs, they'll walk out a nice necklace and say bidder, and then everybody, so
April, I
people
think I
buy.
figured out what we're going to be doing sometime soon. We got to find out if this facility is still in existence, because that's rummage sale heaven right there.
And that's what people do. They go and buy these lots to sell in there. It's
Yeah.
very Storage Wars-ish, if you will.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly what I'm thinking.
And so we did this shoot, and it was just fascinating. It was just kind of a day in the life of one of the workers, and we followed him around. And one of the sections is a lady, like there's a machine that's just shooting envelopes to this lady, cutting them open, and she's just opening it up and throwing it out. Every once in a while, she pulls out a wad of cash out of one of them. She puts it in a pile. She gets the checks, puts it in a pile. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is phenomenal. Wow. And then they go to another section. It's just people unboxing. It's like Christmas. They're unboxing stuff. And it's like DVDs. They'll throw them in a bin. If it's a book, they throw it magazine over here. Clothing, they'll throw it over here. And so then in another section, it looks like you're on a show floor, and there's every single video game machine you can think of, and video games and jewelry and clothing, and it was all set up like you're walking in a shop. I guess they just organize it that way. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then in the middle of the facility, gated in, right in the middle of the facility, gated in, extra security, is where, with huge safes and everything like that, and that's where they put all the guns that come in and the drugs. And I'm just like, people send guns through the mail. It's like, dude, you wouldn't believe how many people are dumb enough to send a gun in the mail. I'm like, that is awesome. That's very scary to me, but it's awesome. And so I'm like, what do they do with all that stuff? And they're like, we just incinerate it. I'm like, really? What? They just incinerate all of it. It's like all the dope and the stuff, they just burn it. It's like,
I thought you were talking about the guns.
The guns, they do that too. I don't because you can't resell weapon. It's not. I don't. They just said they incinerate everything. I'm like, okay.
Oh wow, that's great.
Well, what happens to the cash? And they're like, it just goes back into rotation. And like, we take it, like the USPS, because it's a government agency. They just keep it. So,
okay.
I'd say that's really kind of my top. Like this facility, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive.
With me, right? It's cool. It's cool. It's different. It's not a. It's cool, right? Maybe I'm the only one, but I thought it was awesome that this is, how many times can people say that you go to a facility where you go and see your unclaimed mail? I think that's funny in and of itself.
That's crazy. They say that you learn more about somebody by going through their trash. Well, that's half the trash of the country that they didn't know they had.
I learned a lot that
going
day.
through everybody's mail. That's crazy.
I was like, I could send some stuff through the mail.
Well, that's true.
A gun.
About going all the way across the country in different places like that. I do have a question for you, Ben.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Bucket list vacation. So last year, I think for the longest time, one of my bucket list vacations was I wanted to go to Iceland. I think that was kind of stock, right? Everybody wants to go to Iceland. Who doesn't? Because I want to see the Aurora Borealis and that kind of stuff. But then a couple of friends of mine, Kevin and Claire, they went to Switzerland last Thanksgiving, so a year ago, and they took this gondola up to the Matterhorn, right? And so they're taking pictures, and they're get up there, and it's like there's on top of the freaking Matterhorn, like looking out, and it's on the cusp of winter, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. That's my place. That's what I want to do. So I want to go to Switzerland. I want to go to Switzerland, and I want to go to the top of the Matterhorn, and I want to plant my flag, and then I want to go down to the bottom of the valley, Switzerland, and then I want to twirl in a field like Sound of
Sound of
Music
Music.
style.
The hills are.
That's my bucket. I think that's my new bucket list vacation right now.
That is freaking awesome.
We talked about your college, and we may have touched on this a little bit, but going back to the college topic, what advice would you have for some young adults and or their parents that are preparing for college or preparing to send their kid to college or the future?
So the lovely Anna, my wife, she was a non-traditional student. So she went back to school in her early 30s, right? So when she decided to go back to school, she was starting school again. So she knew what she wanted to do. She wanted to get a degree in biomedical engineering, but she started out at the local community college, right?
Okay.
So she went to that route, right? Because she needed her core classes done. So the Englishes, the maths, early sciences, all the stuff you do kind of in your first 2 years, year and a half of college. And it was $800 a semester, if not $800 a year. $800 for a college education. Straight at, 4.0, 4.0, 4.0, 4.0. She
Heck yeah.
kicked ass and took names.
Yeah, she
And
did.
I think when you have a 4.0, regardless of where you go, you're going to get in most places you apply for at that point.
Yeah.
So she knew she wanted to go to Georgia Tech to get her biomedical engineering degree, but she wasn't. I don't think she would have gotten in cold,
Right.
out of the bat. And so she did 2 years of kind of that community college, transferred. They were like 4.0, you're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so she went. Now the 2.5, 3 years that she went to Georgia Tech. Now that was way more expensive, but at least it wasn't
the whole
4 to
time.
5 years, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I tell you that to say, I think that that's a great avenue.
We talked about this a lot in our previous episode about college and the future. That was the episode before this one. So if you want to know more about that, go back to that previous episode. But one of the things that we talked about was learning trades, apprenticeships, starting out in a corporation at the bottom level and just working your way up, or going to community college, or a technical school,
Yeah.
or
Because
the military.
Yeah. Oh, military.
Yeah.
A wonderful option. There's so many options now. But if you like I said earlier, one of the reasons I picked Georgia Southern was because I wanted to be in marching band still. Now, if you want to kind of pursue music or something like that, then you kind of got to go that route, right?
Not
I
necessarily.
don't know. Okay.
What do you mean?
The services all have. Well, I know for a fact the Navy and the Army and the Marines all have bands.
Of course.
The Navy,
yeah.
you have an actual job. Like that's where I was an
Sure.
electronics technician. They have
Right.
musicians.
But what I'll say is this: I don't think, especially for what I do now in video production, I don't think you have to go to school for it.
I got you.
I think it helps. I think it really does help, because if you're undisciplined like me, you need that school structure where you're editing every day. Like you have to have an assignment and you have to do it. Now, I'm not disciplined enough even today. I can't sit there because in 2020, when the world shut down, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach myself how to edit.
Okay.
Did I teach myself how to edit? No, I still don't know how to edit. I mean, I sort of can, but I'm not like an editor. But my point is that if you want to do that world, you can, as an 18-year-old, you can start PAing. You can start working for free on stuff. And then by the time you're 21, people already know who you are. And then you're working on sets and you just kind of work your way up that way. So, I mean, there's definitely certain degrees where you have to go to college, right? And I guess it's been like that forever, that there's just other options that sometimes you just don't know about. Like I always just assumed the logical step from high school is college.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not ready to go to college and you want to take a year to kind of just work and live at home, or you want to work and pay your own rent somewhere, I don't think you have to go immediately.
But to get your core classes and to get your feet wet, especially with someone who is apprehensive about going to a big university or something like that, and they want to stay home. Maybe they don't have a car, or maybe it's just a socioeconomic situation.
Yeah, totally.
Community college is always a good option. Nobody has to go to a university right out of high school.
Mm-mm.
Because
No.
I mean, I don't even know if I could get into Georgia Southern
I couldn't get
right
in. I
now.
could with my grades back then. I wouldn't be able to get in now. I'd
You
have to.
know,
I'd have to
so
find something different.
Well,
yeah,
it's like with me, and I talked about this on the previous, but I was going to a community college to as a stepping stone to go into the college I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
So, and being that your first couple years of college is basically core,
yeah,
it's not a whole lot of degree specific stuff, then, you can knock those out like with the socioeconomic question, you can knock those out on the cheap and then
Yeah.
have your grade point average where you can get those scholarships to
just
that big
like
name school.
just like Anna.
You get
Yeah,
to pick.
that's
And
right.
I'll tell you, my GPA after my sophomore year was 1.8. Because what do you do your
You
first 2
live
years?
life. You
You
learn.
live
I
it.
mean,
You're like,
it's social.
you
Yeah.
don't have any. You have no. It's the first time I thought it was incredible because when the folks drop you off, it's like, all right, I am in charge of myself. I tell myself when to eat, when to
Yeah.
go to sleep,
Yeah.
and then you start entering the Georgia Southern atmosphere into it. You're
Yeah.
like, oof.
And
Then you
maybe I
start
don't.
missing classes and you're like, oh
And
crap, I got to
right,
tell myself
Yeah.
when to go to bed.
Yeah.
and you're in
Oh,
charge of your own schedule. So I knew it was a downfall because after my freshman year, I remember my freshman year, I made my schedule for the fall. And at that point I was done with the dorm. I was moving in with Pat and Mike into a house
Nice.
and off campus, and I made my schedule, and my first class every day started at 1 p.m. So I had a 1 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, and then Southern Pride at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Awesome.
That was my schedule. And I was like, right? Guess what my grade point average was after that semester?
What?
1.18, 1.5. And here's why. I would I would get in my car, I would sleep late, I'd get up at maybe 11:30. I'd drive to campus, meet the friends for lunch because I was
Yeah.
pulling in. They'd be getting off of classes. They'd be done with for the day
Mm-hmm.
because they were doing 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Yeah.
9, 10, 11. We'd meet for lunch at noon. And then we're like, all right, Ben, we'll see you later. We're going to go play
Hang
video
out.
games and have fun. I'm like, I'll just go with you. Instead of, I was like, that sounds fun. And so what am I doing? Like, my first class isn't until 1. I mean, that sounds amazing. But then my friends were getting done with their classes and I don't want to go hang out with them. So
Yeah.
I just fooled around for that year. And so I don't know where we were going with this.
You had to bite the
this
bullet and
portion,
start
but
taking some 8 and 9 o'clock
Ex-
classes.
exactly. And so I just,
It's
the first,
responsibility.
that's what it is. The first 2 years of school to some people are, and this is kind of why I'm glad I maybe didn't go to UGA or a big school like that, because I may have gotten lost. I mean, if the thing I loved about Statesboro, let me preface this: your first 2 years of college is partying, right? You're getting it out. 'Cause it's the
Excuse me,
first
Mr.
time.
Officer. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
we
you do.
went before social media, so there's no proof.
I
when
have
I
no
don't
idea,
admit a
Mr.
thing.
Officer, what you're speaking of.
And
I'm
I was one of the lamer kids, so I still partied, but I wasn't a hardcore partier. If I was
Gotcha.
a hardcore party, I don't know what would have happened. But I'm telling you, the thing I loved about Statesboro and Georgia Southern is that you kind of had to make your own fun
Yeah.
because there weren't tons of bars. It was a dry county. If I had a downtown scene like Athens at my every whim and beck, like I could just
Yeah.
show up and go to 18 bars on a
And then
weekend.
concerts
Oh my gosh, are
and
you
all
crazy?
kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, you
Are you
kind of do have to
crazy?
make your own fun. A lot of the good memories were from house parties. It wasn't really
Tons.
from going.
Wonderful.
I mean, yeah, they, like you said, there were like a handful of places to go to, but most of the best memories that I have was like at such and such's apartment or at the pool at such and such's place or at the bonfire or,
Correct.
places like that. It wasn't, um, in an establishment. I mean, yeah, I could think of some things at establishments, but for the most part, all
Yeah.
of it was like house parties.
Right. All that to say that, when picking a college, I
Partying is
think
important.
partying is important for sure.
It
But
is
I
part of
also
the
think,
future.
I think you don't, I think, I don't know, there's good and bad. Like, I think it would have been awesome to go to UGA in a big environment like that. I think it would be awesome to go to Tuscaloosa
Yeah.
or Florida State or something like, or Clemson, something big
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
But there's something to be said about small town schools like that too, right? I mean,
Mhm.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Milledgeville has one too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a ton of people from Gwinnett County that go to Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville,
Mhm.
and I'll talk to their parents and was like, how do they like it? And they're like, they love it. It's
Yeah.
small, and I think that's what I loved about Georgia Southern the most too. Not to get away from the subject of college ideas, but I knew I didn't want to stay at home
Right.
Yeah.
because I'd just live at home, and I didn't want to live at home. And I had tons of friends that were still in Milledgeville. I knew that I wanted to go away, and I think Georgia Southern fit that bill because Milledgeville and Statesboro are close in terms of like the way you live, right? You have a
Yeah.
university
It's not like a major metropolitan area.
at
Right.
all.
Right.
And so it was close enough. It was 2 hours that mommy and daddy were close.
Yeah.
2 hours. That
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And so all that to say, I think if you don't want to go to school, there's tons of options. Trade school. And listen, after I was done with the full-time gig at I'll say Artisan. I was kind of jaded. I was like, man, this sucks, right? This sucks. Like the company went under. So anyway, I was just jaded. My point being is like, I was like, you know what? If I could work with you every day at QT, because they were my friends, I was like, I'll get out of this business. I'll go work at QT because that's all I wanted. I just wanted a pleasant work environment and to get paid. And I like looked at QT. I'm like, holy crap, their assistant manager structure is like high five figure, like 85 grand to manage or to assistant manager manage a QT. Sign me up.
Have you seen?
Sign me
85
up.
grand for a quick trip.
And
I think
that
at
was
least that's how I read it.
when?
And this was in 2010.
Oh yeah.
But then they said, you know what, we can't guarantee you that you'll work with us. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it if I'm not working for you or with you. Because I just
Right.
want to work with my friends. And so, but just say, I mean, there's something to be said about that, right? Like you can
Yeah.
have peace of mind somewhere else if you want. If I do a ton of work for Home Depot, right? And one of the shoots we did one time, it's for recruiting, right? Like Home Depot has to make these videos to recruit people. So one of the videos they needed at the time, and they probably still do, they needed IT people and coders, right? They needed people to code stuff for Home Depot. And so they were saying they were offering any Home Depot employee. It could be a cashier, it could be a stock person, it could be somebody in the corporate office that didn't like what they were doing in HR. Anybody that worked for Home Depot, they were offering to send them to school to learn how to code. And then they would go and become a coder and work for Home Depot.
Whoa.
With a high salary. Like I'm talking close to six figures at first and then room to improve. And I was like, holy crap, if I was a stock person at Home Depot and they offered that to me, no education, you don't have to know crap about coding. They'd be like, we're going to teach you how to code. And if you don't learn it the first time, we're going to send you again. Now now they're not sending you to a university. They're sending you to like Home Depot guys are teaching you how to code.
Yeah, you
But-
use in-house
But
training.
still.
And I don't know that you sign a contract to see how long you stay and do it. Regardless,
That's
they're
crazy.
teaching you how to code and giving you a job afterwards in
That's
the Home
insane.
Depot. And so I just look at opportunities like that, and I'm like, holy mackerel! Like, and I know that I've heard about people learning how to weld on the job. Like, we'll teach you how to weld, and then we'll give you a kick-ass job. So, I mean, I think there's money to be. If your end goal is to make money and just live a life,
Yeah.
there's tons of ways to do it. I don't think university and school is just the way to do it. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's been like that I don't think that's not a new concept over the past 10, 20 years. It's always been like that, right? I mean,
Yeah, well then also you got to think that like nowadays there's social media. You know, you got kids that growing up that they're learning how to maximize their presence on social media, and then they get out and then they end up they want to go to school, but they want to go to school to learn finance or learn marketing or business
right,
because they've already got 50,000 followers on Instagram,
right,
and they're turning 18, going to school, learning marketing, and they've been doing it, and
right.
they're just putting the terminology along with their already gained knowledge. And I mean, I don't know if you don't watch Big Brother, do you? The
No,
reality show.
I've seen. I have a friend who does, and so I'll go over to his house, and he and his wife will be watching it. So
You have a
I'll kind
couple
of get
more that
caught up
watch.
with them.
We watch it a lot, and
So
like this recent season, they had someone on there that was I mean, she was an influencer. That's her job. That was her
yeah,
job
I mean,
description. And it's weird to me, especially because, you know, our generation grew up without the internet and then got the internet.
hmm
And so, you know, none of that was an option when we were
right,
coming up. And so it was like, yeah, well, you're going to leave high school and you're going to go to college.
right,
Okay, well, that's fine. And then, you know, for some people got their degrees, some
Mhm.
did not. But, you know, in the end, you figure out, okay, it's trial and error. I got to adapt and overcome. And, you know, now these things right here make
yeah,
so much difference. I still would love to go back to my high school math teacher, say, I got a calculator in my pocket.
right.
And it's scientific if I turn it
yeah,
sideways, boss. So
um,
yeah, that's just it's such a different reality now, which I think, yeah, there's jobs that do require college, but at the same time, there's so many more opportunities that don't require you to sit in a classroom.
right, correct.
So
And I think it's to each your own. I think that you can. I think there's a balance somewhere, right? I don't.
yeah,
Again, I don't think everybody needs to go to school. I don't think everybody should go to school. Some people should become welders. There's nothing wrong with that. And
The
if you don't,
world is their oyster.
my point is this: if you don't want to do it, that's fine.
yeah,
And if you don't have good enough grades, you shouldn't be labeled as like, if your grades are bad, you're never going to be studious enough to be doing something. Incorrect. I think
no,
you can if your grades weren't good enough in high school. Again, there are routes into higher education. There are
absolutely,
roots into
Absolutely.
higher education, and
Absolutely.
it might not happen by the time you're 22. Like I didn't get. I tell you this. I don't think I got going in my career, even though I worked for 10 years in a career. I don't think I started my career until 2013, which makes me however old I was back then. Let's say 30, right?
Yeah.
I felt
Okay.
like I didn't kick in my career until I was 30. And so, even though I worked for 10 years in it,
yeah,
I
I
don't
got
know. And
you.
I don't know why I say that, but I don't know. I didn't feel like, and it wasn't what I learned or enjoyed or, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't feel like I started, I don't know. I just think you don't have to, I want to tell people to relax going into that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's time.
Yeah.
There's time. Like Anna works for Emory now. She's an Emory employee.
That's awesome.
She's an Emory employee now, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't happen until 30s, in your 30s. So
yeah,
and when I started working in the early 2000s, right, I had grand plans, as we all do, about being a millionaire by the time you're 31, owning your own equipment and being a 30, and it's nice. It's cool. And there's some people that act on that and they do it and they make it and they are millionaires by 31. But I didn't do it, right? And I'm not upset about that. I have no regrets about that. You know, I was kind of thinking that it would just kind of happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that doesn't happen unless you work hard for it. That's what I learned my first 10 years. I'm like, I'm not going to make it if I don't apply myself. And I did good work. That's why I kept my job for 10 years. But it wasn't like somebody was just going to give me $1 million to start a production company. That's ridiculous. What was I
Well, I
thinking?
mean, hey,
Yeah. And you
But
couldn't
now
sign it.
that's not to say that does happen.
Yeah.
yeah.
People can work their magic, and some people it just happens for them. And cool.
Kevin Smith,
Sorry, I kind of
$28,000 worth of credit card debt to make Clerks, and the rest was history.
Probably one of the best decisions that he'd ever made.
right. I'm just saying, like, there's just so many. I don't know. There's
Definitely no one size fits all.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
and that's great, and I love that, and I like that, and as long as whoever's doing it kind of embraces that role and doesn't look down upon it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That
Right. Well,
you
I
can't
mean,
look down on a decision by someone like, and I feel
right.
bad because I probably did it when I was 18. Like, you're going to community college. I'm the a-hole for doing that. You know what I mean? I'm the a-hole.
But you know what? You can't go back and beat yourself up about things that you did in your past.
Of course.
And going into that, it's more about like now, like how are we on this end of it? Like you're enjoying what you do, you have a beautiful family, your wife is living the dream. We have you coming on to our little podcast. We started doing this back in 2020 when everything did shut down, and I think I want to find the statistic on how many podcasts got started in 2020, but we're one of those
Yeah.
pandemic podcasts.
We slick pod faded for a second there.
We did pod fade for a little bit, but we came back with a vengeance.
But I'll say this. Let me say this about that. I wanted to start a podcast. I'd love to do a podcast, but you guys actually did a pod. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did the work and are doing a podcast. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing.
You were talking about learning to edit. I've been giving myself a crash course in audio and video editing.
Yeah, and you teach yourself, and dare I say, that's a skill you're probably better at than I am. And here I am, a 20-year veteran in this stupid industry.
I've got a private tutor.
Well, and I don't take the reins a lot of this. There's some things I do, but for the most part, he wanted to do more editing. So I
was a musician, so
Yeah.
Audio editing, yeah. I'm
he's
a roast based me. I want it.
Yeah, he loves it. Like a lot of the things that we do with promotions, that's more my thing. Just because my communications degree, I wasn't like mass communication, so I got a little bit of all of it, a little bit of video, a little bit of audio, and PR. So, I'm like, I'll do the business cards, I'll do the thumbnails for the YouTube videos, I'll do the artwork for this, so it coming up with a logo, making sure we had a brand, those kind of things. So it's been fun, and it's a fun hobby. I'm glad we didn't go into it wanting to be millionaires.
No.
And you can't.
And it's something that we do together that we enjoy.
Right. And I think we make a good team.
I feel like what happens when we're done with this best episode you've ever had, by the way. I think I should send you a check for like $300 because this whole process has been very therapeutic. Even just talking for however long we've been
let me tell you.
It could be, you could have 50,000 people listen to this thing, or you could have 500. But to me, I'm like, oh, I feel good if it's just the three of us. This doesn't see the light of day. I'm like, well, at least I got to talk to two of my good friends.
I saw
an hour and a half or so.
Right.
And be like, tell my story.
I saw a post on Facebook in a podcasting group, and that said, explain in the comments why you started your podcast. What's your why? And we felt like, one, we were underrepresented, just being the nature of the couple we are.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
And so
understood.
there's that, and because of where we live and what we look like, we've got a unique perspective to offer.
I bet.
And so that was part of it, wanting to kind of give our perspective so that other couples that look like us might be able to get some kind of information, if nothing else, just to be represented. Also, it was, again, we started in 2020. This is our forced couples communication. And I say forced in
In
quotes
this air quotes.
because
Right.
we love hanging out. Like,
Yeah.
I've been off this week. We just love to hang out and
Yeah.
just chill, and we'll watch TV and start talking smack back and forth about who's screwing up their camera work
Yeah.
on the football game,
Yeah.
and just stuff like
fantasy
that.
football, different things. We talk about sports a lot. And I think also with talking about us being who we are, it's for some people to see that we're just any other regular couple, you
Oh
know?
God, yeah. If anybody thought otherwise, how?
Right. So it's just like, I mean, we'd like to label ourselves. We have two separate claims. One of them is self-proclaimed mini ambassadors of Las Vegas.
Correct.
Mini ambassadors. And we'll get into that Vegas thing in a second. And then the other ones is your favorite uncle and auntie.
We're the world's safest
Oh.
couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be my. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
So,
We have people asking us for directions, and we're like, we are not from this state.
and they, I mean, people will just kind of, if
But
We're in Galveston, Texas. People ask us directions for stuff. It's like,
just go head down the street.
one of the things that we got started out with this podcast doing was basically talking about our memories of how we got together, and just taking trips, and just in general, just kind of rehashing some of the stuff that we've been through, and putting it on audio format and streaming it on the internet for the whole world to hear. Yeah.
So, Ben, what is your favorite April and Charlie moment, together or separate?
I don't know. Like it. So it's one of my most memorable Charlie moments. I'll start with Charlie.
I'm scared.
It was. It's not. Don't be scared. I'm not. I'm not that interesting anyway. But I'll tell you this. It was it was down at Georgia Southern for one of the games. It had to be a long, let's say 8 years ago. I don't know what year it was, but I'm in the parking. I'm in the lot, right?
Okay.
I'm in the lot, and it was just weird. I was kind of, I don't know what I was doing, and I was just kind of in the lot. So I parked the car because we had a space at the time, and had a few drinks already. And then the group I was with went somewhere, so I'm kind of just hanging out by myself. And then my sister, who was there with her friends, comes over, and so we start talking, and we're chatting. And then I don't know who this other guy was that came up, and it was somebody that was just, I don't know. I remember it just being an awkward conversation, right, with me and my sister and this other guy who I don't remember who it was. I just remember it being weird. And then out of nowhere, Charlie pulls up on this cooler. He's sitting on this motorized cooler. And he pulls up and he's like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" My sister,
I pulled my
this
dang
weird
headphones
dude,
up.
and then of course, Charlie would pull up on a scooter.
Yeah.
That's also I think he may have
was
even
a
was
cooler
like, "Hey, man,
scooter.
you want a beer?" I'm like, "Sure."
Gets off the scooter, gives you a beer.
And it was so surreal. And I've never forgotten that moment ever, because it was like 4 different circles converging at once. And I was like, what is, and that could have been, a little out of my mind at that point.
That was
but I'm
about
like,
10
what
years ago.
That's hilarious.
is going on?
That was about 10
the
plus
cherry
years.
on top out of the weird conversation. Because I was like, who is this guy that was talking to my sister? And I'm trying to remember who it was. It was somebody that I don't think we all hang out with. It was just a weird dude. But then the icing on the cake was Charlie pulled up, and he's just like, "Meh, meh. Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like,
We were
"Dude,
just talking about those cooler scooters the other day when we
I was like, "You're just in time. Save me from this dude and my sister." Even though I love my sister, it was just weird because Erin started going to Georgia Southern games after I left because she had a ton of friends. Oh, when Munkin started, right? Her best friend's is her best friend's husband was a tight end coach on Munkin's staff, so they started going to Georgia Southern games all the time. So it's just weird that my sister was there, but I don't know. It's just such a weird comment. So I'll say that might be one of my favorite Charley moments for the moment.
Nice.
Because he just pulled up on this cart. I'll never forget that.
We're gonna have to put a cooler scooter link in the description so y'all can go to our Amazon link so we can get just a little bit of the proceeds if you purchase one.
if you could imagine, I'll put it into movie perspectives. We've all seen Dodgeball, right?
Yeah.
It's the scene where White Goodman like clicks his finger and the motorcycle pulls up and like and then he hops on the back of it. I'm like, that is exactly what Charley did. He just like out of nowhere, this cart pulls up. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? I'm like, hey Charley, what's going on, man?
You were along the side of the stadium at that point, weren't you?
Yeah, it was like over by this. It was over
by the apartments.
It was over by the that side. Yeah, earbud.
That's hilarious.
So that's I think that that's. I'm sure there's other ones where I've had deeper conversations with you, Charley. But I think that's my favorite. And then April, I don't know. There's so many good ones. I mean, obviously, I guess the best favorite has to be when we read each other's mind that time, right? That's got to be it. Right? Got to be it. I think that's got to be it, which was weird, where we were at a weird bonfire across, like, I don't even, and I remember looking at it and I was like, yeah, man. And you were like, yeah, man. I'm like, did you just read? I read your mind. You read my mind. I think that's my favorite. I think that's definitely my favorite, but that's what I was trying to think of. I was like, ask me what my favorite memories were of you guys. I think those two come to mind first. That trip to Raleigh was good. Oh my gosh. The mixtape. Oh, what a great memory that was too. Ooh, that might be my favorite. But that also included Justin though, so that kind of doesn't count as just an April memory.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I'm pretty sure I was on guitar at some point during that mixtape.
There was a mixtape in Raleigh and a mixtape when they moved to Atlanta, Marietta.
This was Raleigh
too. Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay.
Oh, so good. It's some of my best work.
It's
probably my best work.
I still haven't lived that flub down either.
We need to find that and put it at the end of this episode.
Oh my gosh. If there was a copy somewhere, I haven't heard that. I don't know what I don't know what I did with my copy. I can't.
That's
hilarious. You gotta dig that up.
I know April's got it somewhere.
Justin's got a copy of it. He went to dig that masterpiece.
We can give.
That was a good one.
What was his name? His rap name? I can't even remember. But we'll have to give him credits. We got to find
that out. I should know that, and I feel bad. I could text him.
You know what? I'm half tempted to call him, but I know it's
no, we're not gonna call him tonight.
Oh man, we went on a good string of trips back then. That was a good little
the
last really good trip that you guys have been on together. I was there.
Yeah, for our wedding.
Now that I will say this, your wedding. Let's talk about your wedding for a minute. My favorite, I don't know, y'all's wedding. I'll say this because I think my favorite y'all moment was definitely your wedding because I thought your wedding was pretty darn great. Right?
You had a big hand in that too.
Yeah, you did.
The paparazzo.
Did I pay for that? Did I pay for your wedding?
You paid for the paparazzi we had from the reception to about 4:00 in the morning that followed us around.
Oh yeah, you're right. That was a good gift. That was a good gift. That guy was great.
Yeah,
he was great.
He was awesome.
Yeah, and we partied so much that because I think you paid for 8 hours. He started at the reception, and then followed us until. Like 4 a.m. I think it was.
It was 7 o'clock. It was 3 a.m. when he left.
Okay, yeah, because he was like, "Sir," he went up to Charley. It's been 8 hours. I think I'm gonna go. We're like at Fremont Street, just chilling.
I was like, well, and I was so
like hours ago.
I was having such a good time. I think I told him like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's fine if you don't want to do any more shots, but if you want to do these shots and come party.
He was like,
Right.
He's like, I've been watching y'all drink. No,
I gotta go.
I have. This is my job. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And you
I did this.
also hosted our game at the reception.
That was a great
That's
game.
true.
It was a great
It
game.
was the
Shoe
what was
game.
the shoe game? Like we sat
shoe
back
game.
to each other,
Right.
and we both had a male and a female shoe,
Mhm.
and you asked, just questions about who's most likely, if it was me or him.
Who's the better driver?
Yeah, that was a big hit, Ben.
It was.
That was
I
a
thought
big
it. I
hit.
thought it landed. I was worried that it
Yeah.
wasn't going to land because I was like,
I mean,
"Ew,
people were
this might not
gathered
work."
around,
Oh, yeah.
cackling. They had
And
a good
so-
time.
We had Anna and I had a great time, great time at that wedding, and I don't know, it was just a good. The night
good
before
vibe.
was great. It was nice seeing old people that
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
because I hadn't seen them in a while, and I just wanted to. I loved that group of friends from Statesboro so much, and
Yeah.
you lose touch, and you're like, God, they probably effing hate me.
Well, it's
Oh,
live.
And it's not, and they don't,
Lives.
and they don't, and it's just like
Mm-mm.
picking up right where you left off. But
Yeah.
I don't know, but after we went to Fremont Street after that. Not, by the way, your reception was great too, and I don't know, it was
I'm a
just
fan.
such a good little weekend, and that Fremont Street afterwards was great. It was great. It was
Yeah.
great. It was great.
We got back to the
Man.
hotel at like 5 a.m.
Ben,
Right.
I'm pretty sure I have a picture of you from that photographer on Fremont Street because they had those tall beers, and you had you had two of them up to your
Yeah.
mouth.
I saw that picture the other day. It was because somebody's in the foreground. I
Yeah,
think David's in the
yeah.
foreground, and I'm double
Fisting
It was
on
just
Fremont
so
Street.
great that night. But I mean, that's because then it's like, all right, let's go get hot dogs. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go get hot dogs.
Yeah, went
We
to
all go
Coney
get hot dogs.
Island.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And then you guys bought the
James-
biggest bought the biggest cup of Jamesons I've ever seen. I'm like, how do you?
Oh,
Jameson?
I think we were in the Four Queens when
At
that
this
one got
hour?
shot. Though.
We were outside of the D, I thought.
Oh yeah,
Was that
yeah. No, I'm
The D?
talking
It
about
was
that.
outside of the D.
Yeah, and because I took one sip and I was like, did they even put Coca-Cola in this?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
it was. I felt like they only poured Jameson, but it was like a 32-ounce Jameson.
It was
I'm like,
dumb.
who drinks? And
That
then
was
then you're like,
ridiculous.
this is how you're supposed to drink it, and you're like, supposed to let it sit on your tongue. I'm like, a 32-ounce Jameson. I don't think you'd.
was that
tasting
April
it.
or me that said that?
You said it, Charlie. You
Oh.
were like, here's how you properly drink whiskey.
I was
at 3 o'clock
giving
in
the
the
whiskey
morning
tasting.
in Vegas. I'm
Yeah,
like, this
whiskey
ain't,
tasting.
Criminy.
this ain't a whiskey tasting. It's Jameson in a 32-ounce cup right
We're
now.
not sitting around the fire with
Yeah, we're not.
stogies in a little glass, you
Well,
know.
I don't know. I
Oh,
just
no.
had a really. I think that was. I mean, obviously that's the answer, right? Your wedding. I mean, that's got to be
Oh.
the answer of a
It was fun.
favorite couple
Yeah,
thing.
That
But-
was.
Well, we were talking about this being apropos because it's episode 8. We got married on 8/18/18,
Mhm.
and we have our guest on, so that's a good number for us. You're one of our favorite friends, Ben.
Oh,
And so, we
Thanks,
don't
guys.
see you and talk to you all the time, but you are. I mean,
Oh,
shoot.
thanks.
So, I mean,
appreciate that.
it couldn't
I love you guys.
have been any other way. We love you too. And it's just, it's just like that. So, we got to run it back 8 years when we have our 8th wedding
Oh, yeah.
anniversary. We're
Yeah.
going to run it back. So,
I think Ann and I might. We're hitting 10 next year. We hit
Ooh.
10 next summer.
Mm.
So
Okay.
we're thinking about running it back. Maybe not running the whole thing back because that was a brand new
I
wedding.
mean, run a
But
quick one back. And we got some
I thought,
friends that just did 15 and they ran it back with Elvis.
Yeah,
Ooh,
So,
on Labor
I
Day
love
weekend.
Vegas. I still love it. I haven't been in so
Yeah.
long, but I think the last time I went to Vegas was your wedding, actually. But what a way to go out if I never go back.
well, you know what? Give us some pointers when you have time.
Mhm.
We have audio episodes, like the first 5 episodes are audio. One of them is about Vegas. We
Mm-hmm.
would love your input on that episode.
Yeah,
When you
I've
got
been going to.
time, yeah.
I'm by no means an expert, but I have been going since 1999.
The first time I ever heard the term double down was
Ooh.
from y'all talking
Yeah.
about going to Vegas. It was you and a
Oh,
bunch of other
yeah.
friends, and y'all like double down. And I was like, I have no idea what that means, but
gotta
it sounds
double it.
cool.
You got to double it. You got to double. You got to double down. Now I've moved on to craps. I'm a big craps fan now. Holy mackerel! It's so much fun. I lose so much money playing craps. It's ridiculous.
She
I say that, but
she fell in love with craps.
oh, so
After
good.
she watched me play it, on a little pop up,
Yeah.
and then she went up to the room, and I put some money in the pop up, and I was hitting, hitting. I'm like, wow. I pulled money out. I went upstairs because she'd gone up to take a nap. I said, so I started with this, and I have this and this. She's just like, what? Yeah. And then the next day I proceeded to go to the actual craps table
Then you.
and blew what I was going to play
Right.
with. I blew that in like 20 minutes. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
But the last couple times we've gone, we've played the little pop-ups and the obviously.
Pop-ups is a great way to learn how to play it, but there's
And
nothing like playing at like if you're winning. It sucks if you're losing, as in
Right.
any gambling, right? But
those little 6-man pop-up craps. We went to one in Casino Royale, and it was every seat was full. Everyone had a drink, and it was just a whole bunch of smack talk. It was basically like a 6-person table,
Right.
and there were people standing up around and catcalling. It was dope. It was really.
We
good.
like to make friends when we go. Like we'll go to the book. Like we'll put some stuff on different things at the sports book, and we'll pick a day and just sit at the sports book. Get some. They'll have like a server coming around, but we found out if you go on behind the little pony wall, you can bring your own alcohol up too.
Oh, right.
Just sit there and watch games.
And we happened to be there for the first weekend of college football season one year, and we killed that Saturday.
Yeah,
like because we got up early and went down and had our little coffee, and we're like, "What time is it?" And we look over. Oh crap! There's football games on.
It's only 9 a.m., but there's football. I always love
we're
that.
on West Coast. Heck yeah! So away we went, and that was it.
I think LSU ruined my parlay that day.
My parlay too.
No, or was it UGA or LSU?
Mine was LSU.
Parlay. That was the first time I ever did one, and it was going to be amazing.
It was LSU versus UCLA. I had Alabama covering. I had Georgia Southern game. I bet the over, which they covered, and LSU was a 2.5 point favorite. They just basically had to beat UCLA.
Right.
And they got smoked by UCLA.
Isn't that crazy?
That was a few years ago when UCLA was good.
That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
The last game.
Out of the $300 parlay. I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was like, Bama won. I'm good. LSU's going to do this. Wait a minute. Yeah.
No.
It was awful.
No, when we got married in 2014, that was a World Cup year. So we were able to watch. Like I think that morning that I got married, I was able to. I watched Greece play that morning with my buddy, my beautiful Grecian goddess boyfriend. We watched George Greece play that morning. Yeah. Yes, him. We watched Greece and play whoever. I'm pretty sure they lost, but it's cool. I mean, World Cup, that was cool. That's also a bucket list item, something that you did at your wedding that I found out about. I think it was you did this for your bachelorette night. The link
roller?
The high roller, the all you can drink suite, and the high roller.
Yeah, we did the happy half hour. It takes 30 minutes to go around. Once you get to the top, because there's a bar that they bring in with a bartender.
Yeah.
And they're serving up cocktails the entire time. Once you get to the top, everybody takes a shot. He's got them all ready, and he does a selfie with everybody at the top.
This guy sounds great.
Yeah, and I mean any bartender, that's cool. They have charisma. But it was dope. So
that's a bucket
definitely
list
recommend
item.
the happy half hour.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing that next time I go to with whoever's with.
We are as well.
I'm going to spring it. I'll do it. It just sounds a half hour of drinking. With friends. That sounds great. Open bar. I love open bars.
Right about now, check it out, Joe.
Fuck so brother.
So we've got a little bit of sports talk we got to get into.
Okay.
So
I'll try my best.
College football playoff.
Michigan?
Yep.
Michigan won.
Oh,
2 Washington.
Naming them. Okay.
3 is Texas and 4 is Alabama, right?
That's correct.
For sure.
Do you have any opinions on that at all?
I mean, I don't know. I personally would have thought it would have been. I don't know. I'm never one for strength. I mean, strength of schedule counts the most, I guess, for
Yeah.
99.9% of the people. I'm kind of not one of those. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Okay.
they still went undefeated, right? And
Mhm.
it was in the ACC, which isn't as hard as the SEC, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Undefeated. I mean, there were so many years where I feel like, and by no means am I an expert, I think Clemson was undefeated so many times and they still made it in. Now, the argument could be made that there were too many two-loss teams that to put them in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year was just a weird perfect storm of other teams not of having multiple losses, right? It's the first time this has ever happened, right? So I think it was just Alabama only had one loss, Texas only had one loss. I think if either of those teams had two losses, there's no way that Florida State wouldn't be in, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
And so I don't know. I just think, I mean, I don't know. And then they're like, well, your backup quarterback's playing. I don't care. Who cares about that? You don't ever know what's going to happen in the
Right.
game.
Right.
But
You can predict it. And everybody was clamoring on about TCU getting destroyed last year and against UGA, but I was like, well, they beat Michigan to get into that game. So there's that. But so I don't know. I still think I'm fine with the top four. I'm fine with it.
Well, this weekend is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and the following weekend is Christmas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we love to do lists on this show.
Let's do a list.
The top 5 favorite Christmas movies.
Ooh, top 5 favorite Christmas movies.
I'd like to have ladies first.
Oh.
Perfect.
Okay. Number 5 of Christmas movies. I have Home Alone, the original.
Ooh, Home Alone's great. That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this because I can change my list now.
No,
No,
see,
you can't.
that was why we wanted to do the whole list.
Okay, then you're right. Okay, then we should do that. You're right.
These
That's a
are
good-
the
that's a
sheets
good
of
way.
integrity.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Okay.
Because
That's true.
I
So-
mean, if you change, okay, you can
Oh,
change
yeah.
your order, but then it's like, ugh.
You're right. I won't. Knowing that, I won't change mine. So then
Well,
maybe we
just
should.
don't change it.
So
Okay, I won't change it.
we've got we've got a comment here.
Yeah.
Smart as you said, I prefer the New York one.
Smart as you.
Yeah, that's one of the
That's
listeners.
who's viewing right now.
Yeah. Oh,
Home
you like
Alone.
the New York one? Oh, yeah.
You like
Home
Home
Alone.
Alone 2?
Oh, okay.
That
I
was
need to watch that one again.
I think that one was the best Home Alone. I think
Yeah?
that was, he's right.
Yeah.
I think that's the best Home Alone.
Okay.
I
Well,
love
I'm gonna
part
have to
one.
watch
I
that
thought
one.
Yeah,
part
we'll
two
have-
was great.
We're gonna add that one to our repertoire.
Yeah, for sure.
My number 5, it's a classic.
Okay.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
Oh,
It's the feel good.
classic.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
okay.
I mean, Jimmy Stewart. How can you go wrong?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I've ever seen that movie all the way through.
You know,
Wow.
I can't
Yeah,
even. I
I've
can't
seen
even
bits
be
and
mad.
pieces, though.
Here's your homework.
I can't
Yeah, it's
even be
good.
mad. I haven't seen The Miracle on 37
54th.
45.
No. It's Miracle on 37th
Seventh.
Street.
What?
I thought it was Miracle on 54th Street.
No, that's Studio 54. Hold on.
No.
Miracle. It's Miracle on 34th Street.
See, I knew it was
34th.
30
I
something.
knew there's a 4.
We're okay.
Oh man.
I'm gonna go really obscure for
Okay.
my fifth favorite Christmas movie.
If.
Mhm.
It's a movie. Ooh, it's a movie called Santa Claus the movie. Have you ever heard about this? Not the Tim Allen. Not Tim
No,
Allen.
I know what you're talking about.
It's called Santa Claus the movie, and
No.
it was an '80s movie, and it was Santa Claus the movie, and John Lithgow is in it, plays the
Okay.
bad guy,
Okay.
and Dudley Moore plays one of the elves, and I don't know who played Santa, but I don't know. It's just so great. It's like a little slice of '80s.
I'm
I loved
excited.
Santa Claus the movie.
Okay.
I'm
My
writing
fifth.
this down. I'm writing this
You don't need
down.
to
Write
write
down
it down.
Santa Claus the movie,
All right.
and it has to be Santa Claus the movie, not
Okay,
Santa
Santa
Claus.
Claus,
That's Tim Allen.
the movie.
Santa Claus the movie.
Okay. Okay.
Dudley Moore,
My
John
number
Lithgow.
4.
Hold on. This has got to be directed at yours. That movie goes hard if you smoke a little of that lettuce, but otherwise trash.
Which one? Which one? Santa Claus the movie?
Is that Santa Claus the movie? Is that what you're talking about?
Santa Claus
Smart
the
as
movie
you?
does go hard. Santa Claus
That's
goes
funny.
hard.
All right.
I love it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they said yeah, yeah. There it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
well,
cool.
my number 4 is Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the claymation movie from 1970.
Ooh,
Okay. Okay.
that's definitely some old school.
The
Yeah.
Rankin and Bass ones, like that kind of that
Yeah.
You
one.
know, stop motion.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh
All right.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. My number 4 is the Santa Claus, with Tim
Ah,
Allen.
okay.
I like that
Those are
one.
good.
It's a good movie. I've back in the day, I always liked Tim Allen. His stand up was awesome. I remember as a kid, and I just like that the cynical side, and then it changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice moment,
Mm-hmm.
and they get cocoa.
I understand.
Like I'll have more on that one in a second. I think my number 4 Christmas movie of all time is The Holiday.
Ah, okay.
I like a good romantic I think it might be my favorite romantic comedy too.
Wait a minute, The Holiday.
The
I
Holiday.
don't even know that movie.
Is that
Oh.
considered a Christmas movie?
I don't even know that movie.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
The Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz, Jack Black and Jude Law. That's a Christmas movie, right?
I think so. I mean, if you say it's like,
I'll give it to you.
yeah,
But I mean,
I
I
think it's
don't
a
even
Christmas
remember
movie.
hearing about that
House
movie ever.
Rules.
Like, I don't know.
I'm calling it's
okay. You heard it here first, folks.
I'm saying The Holiday because it's one of my favorite romantic. It's my favorite romantic comedy.
Okay.
It's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Number 4 for me.
All right. So on to number 3.
Number 3 of my all-time favorite Christmas movies is Polar Express.
Ooh.
And it's a newer movie in my life because
Polar
it's not
Express is a good
anything.
one.
It's not anything from my childhood or anything like that. But when I worked for schools and different things like that, they would have like Polar Express Day, and we'll put the kids in here, and we do the cocoa, and they have the pajamas, and they do Polar Express. But I never really watched the movie, and so maybe. I think it was 2 years ago. I sat down and actually watched Polar Express.
It's
It's a
good.
really good movie.
It's a good flick.
It made your top
Good
5.
movie.
Yeah.
It's your third. It's your third favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah,
It had to have an
yeah.
impact.
Yeah, it
My-
really did.
My 3rd is Elf.
Ah,
Elf,
okay.
It's great.
Cotton-headed nitty
great.
muggins.
It's great. That's a great one. I struggled with putting that in my top 5. I was
think-
like,
Go ahead.
it's not in my top 5, but
Yeah.
I feel bad that it's not in my top 5. Maybe
That's a
I feel
good
bad
movie,
it's not.
though.
I'm looking at my list, and I think what I did was I judged them on how much they get quoted.
Ah.
Yes, that's a good point.
So
Well, I didn't. I just did it off of how I felt.
these top 3 are all kind of running together on me. So I had to do something
Yeah.
to make them stack up.
My top 5. The bottom 4 could fluctuate any which way. I could move them up and down, up and down, up and down. And then I left a few classics outside of it. But number 1, we'll get to that in a second. But number
Right.
1 is by far the best. My number 3 is a movie called Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds and
Think I know that one.
with Amy Smart, Ryan Reynolds, and Anna Faris.
Huh.
Have you guys heard of that? It's Just Friends. It's
I don't think
really
I've seen it.
Again, it might not be a typical Christmas movie, but it's set during Christmas. I guess it's like that,
mean, that works.
right? It's like that that Die Hard
Yeah. I
ish.
gotcha.
Like it was set during Christmas, but is it a Christmas movie?
Right.
I don't. It's this Just Friends. I would consider a Christmas movie, so I'm saying
Okay.
Just Friends. And if you haven't watched it, it is great.
Oh, okay. Well, that's another movie I'm gonna have to check out. All right, number 2.
Ooh,
What?
I'm sorry. We got a recommendation here.
Okay, pop it up.
I don't know if that's in anybody. It's not in my list, but that was a good one.
That's a
Jack
good
Frost.
movie. Jack Frost is a really good movie.
That's
Is that a horror movie or is it the one with?
no wait. Ooh, because
I
it's
thought it was
98.
Jack
Jack-
Is
Frost,
that
the guy from
Is
the
Michael? Is
Groundhog
Michael?
Day.
Is Michael Keaton?
no?
Is it Michael Keaton
Oh, that might be Michael
turned
Keaton.
into a snowman? Is that the one?
The
I don't know.
name of this person, Smart as You. I'm like, does he know you?
I don't know. It
Or
could be
she?
somebody.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know.
But
Yeah, I'm right. It's the movie that Michael Keaton's in, and he's dead, and he comes back
becomes
as a
like,
snowman.
yeah, yeah.
But
Hey, if
there's
you're in the
also
comments, I'm sorry. Hey, to those of you that are in the comments, where are you watching us from? What state?
Okay, Mr. Officer. They might not want to
Well, I
answer
don't
that
ca- that don't
question.
yeah,
Okay,
They're actively participating.
I'm
We'll
good with it.
we'll
I'm
we'll,
good with it.
we'll deal with that.
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks for your participation.
Absolutely.
Okay, what number are we on now? 2?
we're on 2.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. This is one that actually emits emotion to me.
Ooh,
Number 2 from 1964, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
ooh,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one where he puts his nose out in the snow?
Yeah. In that
mhm.
they were playing the reindeer games and yeah, like when Rudolph came to be, man.
That's a sad one,
But good.
but good. It was great.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that he put his nose out in the snow. That kind of weirded me out a little bit. But
I mean, you
then
know.
it shone bright, and he's
Yeah.
showing the way.
Yeah.
I love it.
My number 2 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
Okay.
great one.
I mean, again, quotability, right?
Right.
Ooh.
Again, struggled with that not making it into my top 5, so I felt bad about that. Elf not making my top
Ooh.
5
Mm.
because it's great. It's such a great movie in and of itself. But I don't know. I've seen it. I think I've seen it so many times that I'm
Yeah.
okay with not putting it in my top 5. I think
I
I'm
got
fine
you.
with it. If that makes a lick of sense. My number 2 is the immortal Bill Murray's Scrooged.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's my second one.
That's
that
a
was a
good
good one.
Stand by
movie.
it.
That's a
Bill
really good
Murray's
movie.
great. It's a great, great film. I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
it.
Bill
So many
Murray in
people in
general
it.
is pretty
So
good.
good. Yeah, he's wonderful. But Scrooged, that's my number 2, Scrooged.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I saw it in the
all the way
theater when I
down
was
to
a
number
kid.
ones.
Yeah. Okay. So, my number 1 movie, Christmas movie, is A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great one.
I think I like that one because I don't know. First of all, I like the little Christmas tree and his
Oh yeah, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
yeah. And then the monologue where I think it was Linus that had the monologue. So for all of those reasons, I picked the Charlie Brown Christmas movie.
Oh, that's a good one.
The
That's a
the
good number 1.
the Peanuts series, I still like the Thanksgiving one
Yeah.
because of the popcorn.
Yeah.
I was just
And toast.
Okay.
all right. So mine, you'll shoot your eye out.
Oh yeah,
Christmas
that's a good
Story.
one.
That's got to be number 1.
Got to be number 1, right?
That's
For you.
yeah. That's my number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Fudge. But I didn't say fudge.
Have you watched the sequel yet? Have you watched the sequel yet?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No. I want to. I remember reading about that house being up for sale, and I don't know
right.
if that was years ago. They talked about it, and it was up for sale, and then someone didn't want to restore it, and I don't even know if it's even still standing anymore because that was at least 5-10 years ago
Oh wow.
that was going down.
I do like that it's on for 24 straight hours on Christmas Eve. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's one of the best television programming things in forever. I think it's
Yeah.
the 24 hours of A Christmas Story. It's good. I'm here for it.
And one of the things that I always see in that movie is when he's in that little fantasy about his teacher. She's giving him the A+ on his theme, and then he sees the grade and it was an F, and you'll shoot your eye out, and it looks back and it's his mom dressed as a jester and his teacher dressed as a witch, and then y'all shoot your eye out. It seemed like just about every Halloween my mom dressed up as a witch, and she was an English teacher. So every time I see that, I just think back. It's funny that I look at a Christmas movie, but I always have a little quick blink of a memory about Halloween.
It's a trigger. That's a trigger for you.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
Okay.
All right.
My number one Christmas movie. Does anybody want to guess what my number one Christmas movie is? Does anybody know?
Die Hard.
Based on posts on Facebook and stuff like that. It's also it could quite possibly be my favorite movie of all time. And it's a little movie called Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Huh?
I think it's just the best. I don't know. I've been watching it since I was a kid. It came out in 1977, which was the same year I was born. It was always on HBO, and we had HBO when I was a kid, and I watched it forever. Every year. I've watched it every year for 46 years. It's our thing.
Wow.
It's my thing. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And so I didn't know that anybody knew what it was until about 10 years ago. People started coming out of the woodwork, like knowing what it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
We're
That's
going to
my
have
number
some
one.
fascinating
By far.
links
Yeah.
for people
by
to check
far.
out things at the end of this this podcast. So we'll get
Like,
another group of people exposed to these things.
Yeah.
To me, it's number one, and then everything else is pretty far behind,
Oh,
even though they're in my top four.
oh no, I
top
get
five.
it. That's pretty dope.
Honorable mentions to...
I have an honorable mention. I have two.
I have one.
Oh, you have two honorable
I
mentions?
only have one honorable mention.
Yeah.
You want me to give it?
I'll start with one and we can go around.
Okay.
Honorable mention, Friday After Next.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
it's a Christmas
It's a
movie.
Christmas
They
movie.
had a Christmas party.
I dig it. I dig it.
I gotta say Die Hard.
Yeah,
Die Hard.
yeah,
Somebody in this group was bound to say it. I was sure.
Yeah.
I was sure.
yeah.
My honorable mention, I was going to say honorable mentions to the two that Charlie had, Christmas Story and
Lampoon's.
Christmas Vacation. Those are, but now I've got another honorable mention for Love Actually.
That was my other one.
It's an honorable mention.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right,
It's
you
such a
two
good-
reading each other's minds and stuff.
Die.
Another moment. Another
There it
moment.
is.
I think
good movie.
that and The Holiday are really good romantic comedies. So I think they're kind of built the same way, right? But
Yeah,
I know Love Actually is pretty great. It could push its way into the top 5 every once. It's one of those ones where if it's on, I'll just watch it every time. Yeah. It's good.
Speaking of watching things,
Yeah. Let's watch a little funny haha. So this is it's called Best Mic'd Up Moments of NFL Week 10. So this is a couple weeks ago.
I don't know. Hey, bro, I'm from here, born and raised. I grew up homeless in my whole life.
Beast, bro.
Julio Jones.
I just stay under the bridge, bro.
It is.
God bless you, bro.
What's love, bro?
No, it's
You do
not.
your thing, bro. On film, you nice, bro. He play hard.
I know it might not mean nothing, but my son, big fan. He's 15, built just like me, bro. Keep doing your thing, man.
You can get those.
Wait a minute. He said his son was 15 and built just like DK Metcalf.
I don't believe it.
I got to throw the flag on that one.
So wait a minute. The first one was Mike Evans saying he was homeless?
Go back. Let's start over. I mean, not start over, but I want to hear that again because I was confused because I was too busy.
That can't
trying to
be.
figure
I
out
don't
if
think
it
that's
was-
Julio. Is that?
I don't know who that is.
Mike
'Cause I'm-
Evans.
God bless you, bro.
What's love, bro? For real.
Yeah, you do your thing, bro. On film, you nice, bro. He play hard.
I know it might not mean nothing, but my son, homeless in my whole
You a
life.
beast, bro.
I swear to God, I'll watch you since I was a kid. I used to
crazy,
stay
bro.
under the bridge, bro.
Bless, bro.
He said he used to stay under a
He used to
bridge.
stay
Whoever
under a
that
bridge.
is,
Number
number
two
two.
is,
On
yeah,
film, you nice, bro.
probably a
He play
rookie.
hard.
I know it might not mean nothing, but my son, big fan. He's 15, just like you, bro. You do anything, man.
He
That's
did say that.
Get this one up. Get this one to him. What's his name, bro? Cam, I got you.
Oh, is he going to sign something for him? Oh, dude, that's nice.
Yeah.
He's probably going to keep it for himself.
His middle name's Cam. Falcons. Let's
Hey, run his ass over. Run his old ass
Campbell.
over. You almost as old as me.
Calais.
Not quite that old.
Not quite that old.
Calais Campbell lost weight. He's on that TB12. He's been doing TB12. That's why he's so slender now.
I love him being on the team. I mean, I didn't really know much about him before he joined us, but holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Man of the year winner.
Kind of got some guns on you, man. I don't remember those.
Right, you know what? They gave us tighter shirts.
I don't care.
That's funny. Yeah, they just gave us tighter shirts.
They got weenie on.
I catch
Seahawks
myself
need to get
a
about
lot of
20
times
yards.
complimenting dudes on their arms these days.
So what?
I say I compliment dudes on their arms all the time too. If I see a good set of arms, I'm not afraid. I'm like, you got nice arms, man.
You're in touch.
Yo, they got weenie on.
Seahawks need to get about 20 yards. There's a shot down the middle. DK has it. Spins out of one tackle. He's dragging guys down to the 25-yard line.
You look like, how you see, face down when he had the monster on his back?
Dang, he just rolled through those defenders. That was
Yeah,
crazy.
He did.
You don't want to see me? You don't want to see me? No, you won't. Come on, come here. Come here.
Oh, he said, "I'll beat the out of you." He said, no, you won't. Come on, come on.
This just happens all game long, doesn't
Oh, yeah.
it? Like
Yeah.
people just jawing like this all
Oh,
game
yeah.
long.
Talking trash.
Goodness
DK Metcalf's a big dude.
Yeah, he is.
Do it. All right, Josh, hey, be smart on this one, okay?
Out of the shotgun on third down. Cam Jordan got around the right tackle. Dobbs looks, sees nothing. Now he runs out to the left. He points to somebody. Turns to the 5. To the end zone. Touchdown! Incredible!
It's
Heartbreaking.
That reaction was perfect.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
That's
do?
heartbreaking.
Holy smokes! Just the look of bewilderment. And check out homeboy right here. Look at that look on his face.
yeah.
Yeah. Just like I told you to do it in practice, man. Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
He just pointed and I don't even know what just happened.
What's up?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Hey, let's make sure we get that one drawn up in the playbook, Bill Callahan.
Run that back.
Hey, you saw every girl. I love it, baby.
Oh,
That's a good
that's
guy.
a good
Yeah.
moment for Calais.
Oh, yeah. Much love, baby. What up, whispers? What's up? My God. My God. I love you guys. I'm sorry, though. Much respect. Appreciate you. Much love. Appreciate you coming out. I see y'all, all y'all. Appreciate the support.
He's such a good
Man,
dude.
Much love.
He's
I
a
wish
good
this
human.
dude was with us forever.
Appreciate, man. Appreciate you, bro.
You know, always. Good to see you, my boy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, congratulations, my boy.
Appreciate it, man.
Love you, bro.
For sure,
How's the fam
man.
doing?
We're doing good, man.
Everybody good?
Yeah, we got 2 little kids now.
Huh?
2 little kids now.
That's what we got. How old?
3 and 10 weeks, 11 weeks almost, son.
Oh, wow.
You in it?
What is he?
Yeah.
How old is Calais Campbell? Like he's considered old in the NFL, but he was like
Never
20.
got to play with you.
I don't know how.
I'll look it
It's
up.
like what, 36, something like that. He's not old.
He's got to be
I could ask the
less
lady on the
than
phone.
less than.
Hey Siri, how old is Calais Campbell? 37.
37. All right.
Yeah.
He's up there. He's up there.
But I heard so much about you.
Respect. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Good luck. Stay healthy. Buddy, what's going on, baby?
How you doing, brother?
Wow.
You introduce yourself to me like I don't know you. Come on, buddy.
I know you remember me.
That's so funny.
You're still playing, brother.
Glace
up, man?
Campbell
What's up?
makes
Look at those
good
camera
burgers.
people just
Always a
working.
pleasure, though.
Oh yeah.
Great career, big
Thank
dog.
you.
All right, you
We all were jumping when you got number 100.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
That was nice what you did.
Thank you.
insane.
For sure. For sure. Hey, man, yeah, you got that balling, bro. Much respect.
Gotta say hi.
Harley,
Man,
what
I
up,
miss you. Miss you, man.
I don't even think he goes to the locker
You
room.
look great.
Thank you,
Oh, man, we're following you. We've covered your 100th sack and everything, so we put that up on the show and everything,
Yo,
so
that's awesome.
well done.
I appreciate it.
Okay, all the best
How
to
many
the
years have you
family.
been doing the show for now?
What's that?
How many years have you been doing the show for now?
Oh, my God, 21? Wolf and I
Wow.
are on 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, pretty crazy.
God bless you, man.
Okay,
Good to see you.
see you.
Yes, he plays for the Falcons, everybody.
So what did he win? Why are we? What's
The 100 sack.
Oh, it's for the 100th sack.
Come on, bro.
Is that you? You know what I'm saying? The picture of you?
That was pretty cool.
So is that you? No, that's a picture of my mom. It was of her. It looked like a re-enlistment photo.
Mm.
Oh, they were talking about. I don't know if they were actually talking about
Him right there.
right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, his dad's a chief.
Yeah.
Surface warfare.
You know what I'm saying? The picture of you?
That was his mom there.
That was pretty cool. They did your parents like that.
That was love.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was
The
awesome.
service.
I know they love that.
Huh?
That meant a lot to them.
No, hey, it should. That was awesome.
No. Appreciate it.
Oh, the sneeze and that face. He was fighting something else off.
Yeah, something more than a sneeze.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my guys.
yeah. That's what that is. That's
Okay.
Appreciate it, brother.
Freezing there, probably.
some big old mittens.
12's the Bratzuka is back. Look out for
Bratzuka?
What's the Bratzuka?
The Bratzuka.
Let's see this.
What do they shoot?
Bratwurst.
Saw that little kid trying to take that glizzy from the dude. There was a little kid trying to take the hot dog from the man.
He's starting over here, huh?
You and I are both-
Normally you go the best for last,
You
but
and I are both hot today.
all right.
We'll have some real encouraging stuff.
I let the crew go.
I
and-
let everybody know.
Yeah.
I let everybody know.
right.
But you look fantastic today.
Thank you. I
Tell
thought
you what, let's
they made
do
the
this.
jersey a little tighter this week.
Brand new caddy.
Sometimes when they do the best mic'd up moments, sometimes some weeks are better than others. That had some pretty good like nice moments in there, not just funny stuff.
Yeah, there was
Right.
more
It was
like
good.
kind of tribute-y type stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it before. I just happened to grab it. I saw the title. I was like, oh yeah, we'll look at this. I was like, oh, we'll wait until we get on with Ben. So
Right.
I want to know more about the Bratzuka. I want to know what that is.
Exactly. I need to know what stadium they're in with the Bratzuka.
It looked like
I feel like
yeah.
that was Charlie's nickname in college was the Bratzuka. No?
No.
That's not right?
No.
Okay. Thinking of some other hunky dude.
That's hilarious.
Well, Ben, this has been a blast, dude. Want to give you an opportunity to start, give yourself some shameless plugs. We got
Oh, shameless plugs.
what do you got going on? What promotions do you have in mind? Anything you want to promote, work or personal causes? About your social media, whatever.
We can find the social media on the website actually. What about if somebody wants to hire you?
I don't know. If somebody wants to hire me, they see this, tell them to get in contact with you and send them my number. I'll trust that.
All right.
No shameless plugs. Check out atlantaquest.org. And, we have YouTube stuff. It's a different thing, right? So if you're not used to if you've seen drum corps, it's kind of the same. right? Except it's indoor, so that's a fun little thing to check out. I don't know. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the lovely Anna is, love of my life. I love my kids. It's so strange having a 3 and a 1-year-old, right? So I'll promote them. It's been crazy. It's been
I'll
crazy
tell you,
since
it
2020.
gets stranger.
I know it does, man. I know it does. But like, I was talking mainly about myself this entire time, and we talked about Anna a little bit, but she's the one, right? She's incredible. She deals with a lot with me and the kids, and she allows me to do stuff. Right? I don't want to say she allows me to do stuff, but I'm gone with work all the time, and she takes care of those kids, and she's a trooper. She's a warrior. I think also I'll promote her.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Promote Anna G. That's it. I don't have any other
Right on.
projects coming up. I wish I had my own podcast now, because then I could promote my own podcast.
Just press record.
Press record.
Just press. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good name for a podcast. Just hit record.
Yeah.
It's probably taken.
Well, this has been great. Thank you again for coming on the podcast. I hope
love you
that
guys.
the listeners, I hope y'all got something great out of this. We on this end had a great time doing it, and we just hope that you stay tuned. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe, and also go back to anywhere where you listen to podcasts, and you can catch our first 5 episodes.
That's right. You can find those episodes on www.nrlifepodcast.com. Like April said, like, comment, and subscribe. And Ben's guest bio will be on that website, and you'll be able to find that at nrlifepodcast.com/Ben Smart. We definitely enjoyed having you. We're glad that you're here with us. So for now, I'm Charlie.
I'm April.
I'm Benjamin.
And we want to thank you for being
in our life.
Peace.